Welcome. You're joining us for a really focused exploration today.
Yeah, a deep dive, tailored for you, really.
Exactly, bringing you that thorough understanding, but without feeling overwhelmed.
And our subject is Bob Camblin.
Right. An artist often called iconoclastic, enigmatic.
Both fit, I think. His art, his whole way of thinking. It's a really rich area to explore.
And what makes it even more interesting, maybe, is how scarce his stuff is
Yeah.
and the demand for it.
That scarcity itself tells you something right off the bat, doesn't it? It hints at value, maybe a perspective that's not easy to come by.
Yeah, that inherent intrigue is like a great place for us to start.
Definitely.
So our aim today is to really unpack the core of Camblin's philosophy and, well, how it showed up in his art.
We'll be pouring from his personal writings, key bits of biography, interpretations of his work, too.
Think of it as us sifting through the essentials, his own words, his journey, those recurring ideas.
Trying to give you a clearer picture.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Look at the foundations, what shaped him.
Well, first off, there's his Oklahoma upbringing, born in 1928, and that early exposure to art, through his artist parents.
Right, even being art director for the high school yearbook suggests it was always there.
A lifelong thing, it seems.
And it's worth thinking about how Ponca City in the 30s and 40s might have played a role. The Marland Estate, that whole boom and bust story, and the pioneer woman statue there.
Local landmarks, but maybe more.
Possibly. And there's this lovely personal touch. Sometimes he'd subtly put VV in his work.
Is V.
For his mother, Viva Camblin, like his own personal pioneer woman.
Ah, that's interesting.
Plus, and this one surprised me, The Wizard of Oz was apparently a big early imaginative spark for him.
Wow, Oz. Okay, so for you, this mix of personal history, local stuff, early pop culture, it likely fed into his later themes, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, connecting this, more broadly, these early visual cultural touchstones, they probably formed a kind of bedrock.
Where his later dives into what?
Yeah.
Change, fleeting things.
Exactly, and maybe even that sort of theatrical, dreamlike quality you sometimes see in his work.
He also had this lasting high school friendship with Forrest Harrisberger, built on good vibes, they called it.
Even though they were different academically.
Yeah, Camblin was apparently this voracious reader, like would skip class to finish a book he was into.
Okay, that habit stayed with him, you said.
Seems like it. And that appetite for reading feels pretty key to understanding the breadth of his ideas later on, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That detail about reading, for you, it's so telling. Paints a picture of a mind just constantly absorbing things, different perspectives.
Which had to shape his art, the layers in it.
No doubt.
So after military service, he reconnects with Harrisberger at the Kansas City Art Institute.
And the reading continues?
Yeah, apparently engrossed in books during art classes. Can you picture that?
Kind of amazing.
Then comes this really pivotal moment. A Fulbright scholarship to Italy. This feels like a major turning point for you to note.
It really was transformative, it seems. His intense engagement with the Uffizzi's masterpieces.
Right.
And the striking imagery of the Catacombe Cappuccini in Palermo, those mummies, as he called them,
Yeah, that imagery stuck with him.
clearly had a profound, lasting impact. Not just passing observations, they got embedded in his visual memory.
And we see direct reflections, don't we? Botticelli's Birth of Venus.
He reimagines it as a tribute to KPFT radio in Houston.
And Botticelli's Primavera becomes Camblin's more complex flora with its own hidden language. For you, these are clear examples of him synthesizing art history with his own vision.
They really illuminate that ability he had, yeah. Weaving together historical art dialogues with, contemporary nods and his own personal symbol.
And not just borrowing.
No, it's a conversation. Across time, across styles.
So before he went nomadic, he did teach for a bit, various places.
But then 1976, he makes this huge leap.
Right, leaves academia entirely, becomes a full-time nomadic artist.
Funding travels across Europe, Mexico, the South Pacific, just through art sales.
For you, that really underscores his commitment, doesn't it?
Oh, it speaks volumes. That dedication, that boldness to just step outside the system and live for the art.
And the material we're focusing on today gives us this really intimate view. His drawings, his notes from 1950 to 1974.
Stuff never meant for public eyes.
Exactly. So it's a rare kind of unfiltered look at how his core ideas were forming.
Okay, great foundation.
So with that laid, let's get into some of the key philosophical, artistic concepts from this period, give you a deeper sense of his later work.
One of the big ones, and this is key for you to grasp, is his desire to find a balance, specifically between science and magic.
Right. He talks about common sense, striving for a perfectly average view, hoping to see these opposites converge.
In what he called a bright gray area. It's fascinating, this drive to harmonize duality.
Exactly, wanting to live in that liminal space. And he put huge importance on personal truth and nature.
Stating, I cannot tell a lie to myself for very long.
And that guidance. Find something in nature that completes you, and then surrender. For you, that highlights his belief in internal honesty and nature's wisdom as guides.
What's really insightful there for you is that emphasis on individual authenticity, yeah, and that deep connection to the natural world as a source of understanding.
It's personal, but also expansive.
Very much so.
And his view of art itself changed, didn't it? It evolved
From art for art's sake.
to something much more essential for him. Art for life's sake, or art for my sake, or art for survival's sake. For you, that shift really shows how tied art was to his actual being.
Yeah, it suggests art wasn't just some detached aesthetic thing for him. It was fundamental, a basic need, almost.
He also had this really interesting idea about stepping off the train of thought.
As a way to access real power. And humor, even.
Yeah, by disrupting that linear conventional thinking. For you, that challenges the idea that understanding only comes from rational thought.
It really resonates with contemplative traditions, doesn't it? Highlighting the limits of pure logic, the value of intuition, non-linear ways of knowing.
It encourages you to think about interrupting your own thought patterns.
Definitely.
Balance and paradox were also just central for him. He embraced balancing and being for and against at the same time.
And that line, bending is not bowing.
Right. For you, that suggests a really nuanced take on resilience, adaptability.
It speaks to that sophisticated understanding of flexibility, you know? Being able to yield without giving up your core.
Then there's his almost Zen-like instruction. When you think, don't act. When you act, don't think.
For you, that highlights being fully present, right? Avoiding overthinking when action's needed, and vice versa. Yeah, being fully engaged in the moment without interference from the other mode.
His take on revolution versus evolution is also pretty insightful for you.
Revolution is misunderstanding. Evolution is understanding.
Yeah, with real balance found inside the individual mind.
So he believed more in gradual internal change being the lasting kind, rather than sudden upheaval.
Seems like it. Camblin also thought deeply about belief versus knowing.
Distinguishing believing may be rooted in upbringing from knowing, which was more like a direct mystical experience for him.
Exactly. And he stressed needing harmony between intuition and logic. For you, this encourages thinking about different ways we arrive at understanding.
That distinction is key for you. He's pointing to different paths to truth, suggesting both rational thought and intuition have roles.
He believed we're all inherently creative,
Uh-huh.
but we lose our magic by focusing too much on understanding everything instead of just knowing. For you, that raises questions about over-intellectualizing things.
That's a powerful idea for you to chew on, suggesting maybe relying too much on rational explanation can diminish wonder, direct experience.
And he had this unconventional view on failure. One must try to fail in order to succeed.
Emphasizing process over outcome.
Yeah. For you, that reframes how we might see setbacks in our own lives, or our own learning.
It aligns with that idea that growth comes from trying things, embracing errors as just part of the journey.
He talked about finding your own mystic switch.
Like a personal gut indicator of truth.
Yeah. And the difference between just looking and truly seeing. Urging deeper perception. For you, that encourages a more active engagement with the world.
These ideas really underscore his belief in our innate ability to discern truth through inner awareness and careful observation, moving beyond just surface glances.
The Zazen mind and creativity concept is particularly fascinating for you.
Right, the idea that a non-focused mind during things like drawing, reading, music, can actually let hunches and inspiration bubble up.
Exactly. Unexpected solutions emerge.
It speaks to that power of letting go of conscious control, allowing the unconscious to chip in, giving your mind space for surprising connections.
He also distinguished between positive magic, which he linked to seeing, leading to deeper understanding, connecting to the endless part of life.
Versus a more limited, culture-bound intellectual seeing. For you, that suggests two ways of perceiving reality. Suggesting a more holistic, profound perception that gets beyond cultural filters, connects to something more fundamental.
Camblin believed real seeing is deceptive turns you into a whirlpool of relationships.
And art is just a partial retention of that complexity. For you, that highlights the limits of trying to represent things.
Yeah, it acknowledges how intricate reality is and how hard it is to capture its full essence in art.
He also wrestled with that classic artist's tension, developing technique versus the art world's demand for constant novelty.
Suggesting anonymity could be freeing.
Yeah. For you, that raises questions about artistic motivation, recognition.
It's a timeless challenge, isn't it? And his thought about anonymity being liberating, that's a thought-provoking take on market pressures.
Echoing the symbolists, he felt explaining something basically killed it.
Emphasizing language's limits, especially for conveying feeling without shared experience. For you, that speaks to the ineffable nature of art. It acknowledges that subjective, often beyond words, quality of artistic experience. Some things are just felt more than explained. He offered a comforting idea, too. There are no mistakes, you're doing the best you can.
Seeing mistakes as nature's feedback.
Exactly. For you, that encourages a more forgiving, growth-oriented approach.
Promotes a more compassionate, learning-focused view of creativity and life generally.
Camblin explored that two-way street between pride and downfall, and used that powerful hologram analogy. Cooperation gives a clearer picture than arguing. We're all holograms clearer together. For you, a valuable perspective on collaboration, seeking truth.
Potent metaphors, yeah. For understanding human interaction and the value of collective insight.
He saw humanity's shared purpose as dreaming of how it works.
And found the path of least resistance surprisingly complex for us humans.
Right. For you, these concise thoughts are intriguing nuggets about our collective drives and individual quirks.
These succinct statements offer really interesting lenses on the human experience and the roundabout paths we often take.
He really connected with Shinichi Suzuki's idea that a work of art is the expression of a man's whole personality, sensibility, and ability.
And the simple statement, art expresses man. For you, that reinforces the deeply personal core of art. Yeah, reaffirms that art isn't just skill, it's the whole person coming through.
Drawing on Alan Watts, he highlighted that profound interconnectedness in nature.
Quoting, "You'll come to understand that you're connected with everything."
And that amazing thought, you are that vast thing that you see far, far off with great telescopes. For you, those quotes really emphasize our place in the grand scheme.
They underscore that fundamental unity, our connection to the sheer vastness of the universe.
He embraced William James's idea that an idea, to be suggestive, must come with the force of revelation.
And the powerful notion that belief creates the actual fact. For you, that highlights the transformative power of personal insight and belief, emphasizes the potency of individual realization and how our beliefs can actively shape reality.
From Sartre, he noted the basic statement, being is. Being is in itself. Being is what it is.
And the constant nature of thought. My thought is me. That is why I cannot stop thinking. For you, fundamental reflections on existence, self-awareness. Yeah, those existential insights into the core of being, the continuous flow of consciousness.
He echoed that profound Zen proverb, those who know don't tell, and those who tell don't know.
For you, speaking to the limits of language for conveying true, deep understanding.
Exactly.
Highlighting that profound knowing often transcends our ability to fully articulate it.
Drawing on Henri Bergson, he defined intelligence as the faculty of making artificial objects, especially tools, to make tools.
While also stressing we need other faculties beyond intellect to really grasp reality.
Right, and the 20th century's big task.
Yeah.
Exploring the unconscious. Bergson also offered ideas like, to perceive means to immobilize.
We seize something which outruns perception itself.
And urged a pure vision of matter, stripping away what our experience adds. For you, Bergson's insights offer a deeper way to think about how we perceive the world.
Bergson's ideas really dig into the nature of intelligence, perception, and the richness of reality beyond our immediate grasp.
Camblin included Teilhard de Chardin's lovely sentiment. The most satisfying thing in life is to have been able to give a large part of oneself to others.
Emphasizing our interconnectedness. For you, underscoring the value of generosity, shared experience, highlights that deep fulfillment from contributing, recognizing our interdependence.
From Lamarck, he noted the power of habit. Habits form a second nature.
And the necessity of change in living things. For you, emphasizing life's dynamic nature, the influence of repeated actions, underscores the impact of habits and the inevitable process of transformation.
Arthur Koestler's wisdom resonated too. Courage is never to let your actions be influenced by your fears.
Creative activity, a type of learning process where teacher and pupil are in the same individual.
The principal mark of genius is not perfection, but originality.
The opening of new frontiers, and true creativity often starts where language ends. For you, powerful insights on courage, creativity, originality, profound perspectives on overcoming fear, the self-driven nature of creativity, valuing innovation over flawlessness, and language's limits for novel ideas.
Carl Jung's ideas were clearly important to Camblin as well.
All the works of man have their origin in creative fantasy. What right have we, then, to depreciate imagination?
Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves.
In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order.
The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct.
The creative mind plays with the objects it loves.
The debt we owe to the play of imagination is incalculable.
The pendulum of the mind alternates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong.
And Jung's a very direct statement. I don't believe. I must have a reason. Either I know a thing and then I know it. I don't need to believe it.
Wow. For you, Jung's insights touch on imagination's power, self-awareness, underlying order, play and creativity, belief versus knowing, and our mind's dynamics.
Yeah, emphasizing imagination, self-discovery through irritation, patterns and disorder, playful creativity, the value of imagination, the mind's fluctuations, and knowing over believing.
A lot to unpack there.
Camblin was also drawn to bits from John Fennell's The Magus.
Themes of self-acceptance, no fixed life plan, self-reliance.
The dead enduring through love. Life's questions being deeply personal. For you, these literary bits add a rich narrative, existential layer.
They give an emotional resonance to the abstract ideas, yeah, highlighting the human experience underneath.
He included Dostoevsky on hidden inner lives, sudden connections.
Salinger on artistic perfection, money blues, spontaneous action, meaning beyond words.
And that persistent unease of the artist. For you, glimpses into the artist's inner world, human complexities.
Delving into the artist's psychology, creativity's paradoxes, human connection.
John Updike on caring about doing things well, art as breathing room, aiming beyond the mainstream.
John Barth on attributed value. Lawrence Durrell on art as compromise with defeat, inventions mirroring wishes.
Aldous Huxley on inconsistency being natural.
Yeah.
For you, these diverse voices just enrich the tapestry of influences, touching on craft, purpose, complexities.
These varied perspectives really illuminate the broad range of ideas that resonated with him. Insights into art making, its purpose, the human condition.
And finally, Camblin's own concept, the ecology of art.
Suggesting artists doing their own thing, pursuing unique visions, might collectively contribute to balance.
Yeah, in a world gone wrong, maybe? For you, that's a powerful, original way to think about individual creativity's role.
That's a really insightful concept for you. Framing artistic individuality not just as self-expression, but as potentially vital in a larger system, contributing to cultural equilibrium.
Okay, so shifting from these foundational ideas, let's explore some recurring visual themes in his art and how his style evolved.
Right. One really striking motif you'll notice, scarecrows.
What's interesting about them for you is maybe their origin in Gunter Grass's dog years,
Yeah.
possibly symbolizing renewal.
Yeah, and we see them evolve into, well, all sorts of things. Myths, legends, lobster shells, puppets, empty larva shells.
Really emphasizing that metamorphosis theme.
Exactly. Change.
And later, he described them almost as sculptures that hide the drawing underneath.
For you, that challenges the usual importance of words in understanding art, right? Maybe echoing Tom Wolfe's The Painted Word.
Could be. So the text in his paintings,
Yeah.
maybe clues, maybe just shapes, pushing you, the viewer, to interpret personally.
Highlights his playful, critical take on art world conventions and how language often shapes our perception of visual art.
Another recurring element, traps, specifically the figure 4 trap.
Which one review called, aptly for you, a potent symbol of entanglement. That simple but effective symbol resonates with themes of unseen forces, complex relationships, feeling caught.
Metamorphosis is clearly central. A cross-series linked to life cycles, death, regeneration.
Masks appear often too, a series of masks showing his techniques with applied paper. For you, these recurring images reinforce his fascination with transformation, identity. These motifs underscore his enduring interest in change, the multifaceted nature of identity, cyclical patterns.
Then there's Musha Volantes, his collaboration with Nancy Giordano.
Using dots and dashes for optical illusions, actively drawing you, the viewer, into perceiving. Yeah, that innovative approach shows his constant experimentation, engaging the viewer's senses directly.
He often signed work anonymous.
reflecting his belief in submerging the ego, favoring collective expression. For you, that act of anonymity speaks volumes. That deliberate letting go of personal recognition aligns with his philosophy about the self's limits, the potential for a more universal artistic voice.
Stylistically, his journey went from abstract impressionism's freedom.
To the intricate optical play of Musha Volante's.
Early work had bold outlines, flat colors, sometimes for social comment. Later combined social realism and non-objective abstraction.
We see influences like Cremoni, Etruscan figurines.
And after Italy, Byzantine and late medieval elements crept in. For you, this evolution shows a restless, inquisitive spirit.
That stylistic journey reveals a constantly evolving sensibility, always exploring, absorbing diverse influences.
Significantly, his drawings went from sketches to being large-scale, monumental works themselves.
Often with visible corrections left in, as part of the piece.
Right. For you, that elevates drawing, gives a glimpse into his process.
Elevating drawing underscores its importance for him and openly reveals his methods, embracing imperfections as part of the statement.
In the 60s, he aimed to blend poetic suggestion with strong emotion, cited Hugo van der Gogh's Goya.
By the 70s, delving into the mystical, trying to evoke subjective states of mind.
Yeah. For you, these periods highlight his growing interest in art's psychological, spiritual dimensions.
These phases show his deepening exploration of the inner landscape, art's potential to communicate profound experiences.
His 70s drawings got more enigmatic, focused on life cycles, recurring puppets, scarecrow skulls, murky water.
Potentially influenced by Kazansaki's grass.
Maybe. Then in the 80s, interwoven drawings and watercolors. Illusionistic deep surfaces hinting at hidden meanings.
Meanings that might only emerge for you over time, leading to deeper knowing.
Exactly, that seems to be the idea.
That shift towards more cryptic, symbolic imagery encourages a longer, more contemplative engagement, rewarding repeated viewing.
Ultimately, his intention seemed to be questioning reality itself. He compared his goals to remaking Goya in contemporary terms.
Like Cézanne approached Poussin.
Yeah. And like a magician, he guarded the answers. For you, that reinforces his role as a thought-provoking explorer.
Underscores his role as an artistic provocateur, yeah. Challenging assumptions, inviting us beyond the superficial.
Now, let's briefly touch on his personality, the relationships that shaped him. Earl Staley, fellow artist, called him a gregarious storyteller.
They were close friends, shared studios, B&E Productions.
Right. And Staley credited Camblin with teaching him how to draw and paint. For you, that speaks to Camblin's generous, influential side.
That collaborative spirit, his role as mentor, highlights a generous, impactful part of his personality in his community.
Together with Joe Tate, they formed the holding firm. Challenged art norms with things like a tattoo show, camping show.
But his time teaching at Rice University, conflict with the chair, John O'Neill.
Yeah, despite being hired. He eventually left Rice, and the holding firm broke up later. For you, suggests tension between his unconventional style and traditional structures.
Points to a complex relationship with established institutions, yeah. A potential clash between his experimental spirit and convention.
Later, he reconnected with Staley, who described Camblin's studio as Wizard's Den.
Filled with eclectic, outrageous stuff.
Seems like it. Camblin even adopted a Mr. Peanut persona sometimes and eventually signed as anonymous. For you, these details paint a picture of a unique, maybe elusive person.
These anecdotes reveal an eccentric, playful individual who embraced a certain anonymity, theatricality.
Later years moved to Oregon, then Louisiana with his wife Nancy. Ceased contact with Houston friends then. Briefly returned to Houston before passing in December 2023. Despite efforts by supporters, no big museum show happened.
Though there was a smaller frame shop show after his stroke to raise funds.
Yes, and despite the distance, the silence, Staley remained a friend. Saw him as a teacher. Penny Serling said he questioned everything, valued collaboration.
George O. Jackson Jr. spoke of reading his art like a book, emphasizing his commitment to purity in art and life.
Exactly. For you, these personal accounts offer a more intimate glimpse of the man behind the enigma.
These personal stories give a more nuanced, humanizing perspective on Camblin, highlighting his complexities, his impact, his dedication.
Okay, let's focus on a specific piece. Scarecrow in a boxed landscape.
Right. Surreal scene. 5 figures, part human, part mannequin, holding orbs, muted, earthy background, window with a stylized landscape. What does it convey to you?
Well, the interpretation often centers on identity, impermanence.
The mannequin figures suggesting the illusion of self, echoing Zen ideas of letting go of ego.
Could be. The mix of human and inanimate underscoring life's transient quality.
And there's a connection made to the I Ching hexagram 49 G revolution or molting.
Yeah, symbolizing transformation, shedding the old, the orbs is cyclical change. The whole thing suggests transition, fluidity, central figure with a baby maybe symbolizing rebirth. For you, this layered symbolism adds real depth.
And the style itself evokes surrealism, symbolism, de Chirico, Delvaux maybe, creating that mysterious otherworldly feel.
Finally, let's consider the review of his book, Zen and the Art of Enlightenment.
It frames art as questions and images, philosophy as incomplete answers, the book as a dialogue between them. What's intriguing for you there?
Well, the review highlights how it transforms the ordinary. A figure 4 trap becomes symbolic entanglement. A tattooed arm tells a family history. A frog embodies Zen wisdom.
The drawings as visible paradoxes, blueprints for deeper ideas.
Exactly. The review talks about illusion and tricks as meditations on impermanence. Explores traps, fear, time, self-made ones.
Telling stories of those who set them, escape, or never see them.
Right. And asks about stillness. Is it being stuck or finding peace? The book offers questions, riddles for you, not easy answers.
The foreword, the review notes, discusses art movements resonating with the Zen, the I Ching, emphasizing intuition, interconnectedness, cycles.
Art as a portal to heightened awareness, prompting active contemplation, self-inquiry. Archetypal themes reflecting inner landscapes.
Exactly. The review emphasizes for you that the art is metaphor, a catalyst for personal discovery.
Aiming to awaken intuitive understanding, not impose a single truth, encouraging your participation in making meaning.
Positioning the book as a tool for psychological exploration, spiritual growth, by avoiding ready-made answers.
The drawings like Zen koans, disrupting linear thought, fostering everyday enlightenment.
Finding beauty in absurdity, humor in decay, acceptance of impermanence.
Ultimately, the review suggests the book is a mirror for your self-reflection, a stepping stone.
Encouraging slow engagement, resisting quick conclusions, reconnecting you with wonder, reflection, enlightenment as continuous unfolding.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Bob Camblin's world, we've really encountered a multifaceted artist, a thinker who resisted easy labels.
Yeah, key threads running through it all. Impermanence, transformation, questioning perception, seeking deeper meaning.
What becomes clear for you is that his work, while sometimes enigmatic, absolutely invites a deeply personal, contemplative engagement.
Which aligns perfectly with your desire for thorough knowledge, those aha moments from real understanding.
So, considering Camblin's exploration of hidden meanings in the everyday, maybe ask yourself, what surface in your own life might deserve a deeper, more imaginative look?
Or, thinking about his idea of stepping off the train of thought, what habitual thinking patterns might you playfully disrupt, just to see what new perspectives emerge?
It's that kind of lingering question, isn't it? That invitation to continue exploring in your own way. That's really the essence of what this deep dive is all about for you.